The Sony A6500. Is it worth $400 more than the Sony A6300? I spent the last few days shooting with the Sony A6500 at that press event in Austin, Texas. I also shot with the Sony RX100 Mark V and the A99 Mark II. Subscribe to be notified when I post about those cameras soon. Both are pretty impressive. But the A6500 is what I want to talk about today, and a quick reminder, I think, of my general opinion of the A6000 series. A6000, A6300, I think they're awesome cameras. Seriously lightweight, capable of producing excellent images. The A6300, especially its low light capabilities, are fantastic. It was the only camera I took to Moab, Utah last April. I left my heavier full-frame camera at home. I had no regrets. I captured some photos and videos that I am extremely happy with and remain at the top of my favorites list for this past year. You can see my original reviews of both cameras linked below, along with some of the tips for shooting with these mirrorless cameras. Let's break this down into the advantages the A6500 offers over the A6300 and the disadvantages, and kind of sum it up with what I think would be better for you. Now remember, the A6500, it's not being positioned as a replacement for the A6300. Rather, it's a higher model that offers some advantages over the earlier model at a cost. And remember that the sensor inside is identical. Image and video quality is basically identical. I say basically because with a redesigned pipeline in there, you get slightly better JPEGs at the very high ISOs, but it is a very small difference. So the first advantage I want to mention is stabilization. The sensor in the A6500 is now stabilized, like the A7S Mark II, A7R Mark II, and that new A99 Mark II. This means every lens you attach, even old legacy lenses via adapters, are stabilized. This is mostly a video benefit. Handheld video looks smoother, but it can also be helpful for shooting static subjects in low light, letting you drop your shutter speed and then your ISO for cleaner low light images. The A6500 is faster and more responsive, offering a deeper buffer with some internal changes that means the A6500 can capture 107 raw images at 11 frames per second. The A6300 was limited to just 21 RAWs. This is a significant difference. And you can now start to preview images as they are writing to the card, along with a small indication of where it is in the writing process with a little meter in the top left corner of the screen. The A6300 does not provide this, and at times it feels very slow to clear and be ready for any action again. That's actually something that's plagued many of the Sony cameras in the past. In the 2 days of shooting fast action with the A6500, I found very few frustrating slowdowns with the camera. It is much more responsive. Now the A6500 also offers a touchscreen. Unfortunately, it takes some getting used to and is still not at the level of those excellent touchscreens you find on Canon and Panasonic. You can use it to touch to focus, and somewhat similar to the Nikon D5500, you can put your eye to the viewfinder and slide your finger around on the touchscreen to change the focus point. This feels a little loose, and it wasn't until I found several menu settings that let you adjust this control that I started to understand exactly how it worked, and it still isn't great. Those touches being more relative to the current position just feels a little fiddly. Though when using it with the LCD, it's a simple touch to focus, but not as responsive as I would like. And it does not work for menu navigation, and it only partially works for image playback. You can't swipe through images. The A6500 does offer a slightly deeper grip and an additional customizable button on top. It does feel a little nicer in hand, especially with those longer lenses, and I appreciate the very large amount of customizability these small cameras offer. But if you're coming from a larger DSLR, the more cramped controls do take some getting used to. We also have a redesigned menu. Yes, we've been asking for that. It's now better organized and colorful. It's still very dense though, but to be fair, there's no other camera at this price point or class that offers so much in the way of pro-level features, both photo and video, so we expect it to be dense. I just really wish they would add a customizable tab or two, kind of my menu, where I could organize the items that I care most about. And for those that use the camera for photo and video, it would be great to allow customizations that change based on your use. Those are the advantages: stabilization, a more responsive / deeper buffer, a touchscreen that is okay, slight redesign, and a more colorful menu. Now, the A6300 does have two advantages over the A6500. It might go without saying, but it's cheaper. $998 at B&H, while the A6500 comes in at $1398. That's a $400 difference, or savings, depending on how you're looking at it. Another advantage of the A6500 is battery life. They both use the same battery, and that touchscreen and image stabilization of the A6500 do draw a little additional power. And while I don't believe it's going to be significant differences, I didn't carefully test, it is a little less. Clearly, the A6500 has more advantages over the A6300, but I do think those advantages apply to a fairly narrow audience. Serious videographers looking for a more run-and-gun solution that stabilization provides, and maybe photographers shooting fast action that want that larger buffer and faster write speed. That's a significant difference. But I think most general photographers and videographers are going to be better off saving money by picking up the A6300. Put those savings towards a nice prime lens. It's going to get you some awesome results. Or if you're a videographer primarily, consider picking up a gimbal for even smoother footage on the go. If you plan to purchase any of the gear mentioned in this video, or would like to see my list of recommended lenses for the A6300, A6500, links are down below. But if you found this video helpful, hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for future videos that include reviews, tips, tricks, and travel videos like the time I went hunting with the Hadza in Africa. It's a pretty sweet video. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.